Go. Well, I am so excited to have you as part of our lineup for this year. You are actually the very last guest speaker for this year, and I feel like we actually set this up probably around a year ago now, specifically for, we're all as business owners thinking about 2026 and, goals and all of the things that come with kind of a fresh start, if you will. And so you and I specifically said like, hey, let's, target this towards the end of the year and get people really set up for success. And um, I'm really excited just to hear your advice. I think it's a breath of fresh air when it comes to the approach and the mindset around this, and I feel like we don't talk about it enough. And so I am just going to be a sponge, as I'm sure everybody else will as well. So I'm going to hand it over to you, and we can get going.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you so much. All right. Well, yeah, let's just jump right into it. Really, the purpose is exactly this. Like, how do we start to build momentum, and adopt the mindset that's going to really allow us to be profitable in 2026? And so, our goal in the next little bit here is to really be intentional about how we're thinking about driving sales, increasing revenue, and ultimately increasing your income. So, also unlocking your earning potential. So I like to say that there is like no better time than now to focus on sales because sales solves everything, right? When we generate more revenue, we generate more income, and then we have the opportunity to have more impact. And so, if we're not focused on selling, if we're not focused on growing our revenue, we're actually reducing our opportunity to contribute more, to have a broader impact, whether that's in your business, in your community, or in the world at large. And so I am passionate about this topic. I'll share a little bit more in a moment, but I want you to kind of think of that almost, mantra, so to speak, over the course of this next little bit, this time together around, how could sales really help to solve, any type of challenge in your business? Because if we have the cash to do it, right, the problem goes away really, really quickly. And I always like to say there's no better time than now. I think I say that regardless of the season or the time that we're in. I'm presenting this to you right now I guess we're like the middle of Q4, which is wild. And it's the perfect time. Like there is no, reason to hit the brakes to slow it down just as we're approaching the holiday season. I would actually challenge you to think this is actually the time to like hit the gas, like put the pedal to the metal, and really focus on building your pipeline and driving revenue so that you have momentum going into 2026. All right, so by way of introduction, my name is Kirsten Schmidtke. I am a sales coach and consultant. I work with entrepreneurs and executives to help them to expand their sales skills, their sales mindset, and their sales leadership to help drive revenue, increase their income, and increase their impact. So, my experience and career in sales started 15 years ago when I stepped into the world of technology sales and spent over 12 years in B2B enterprise sales. I started at an organization that was actually founded in Toronto called SoftChoice, and then spent 5 years at Amazon Web Services. And throughout my tenure in sales, I was always seeking that like connection to how being a seller and being myself could like integrate and be the same. And, through being coached, I found that place where I could be authentically myself, see my sales results, be happy in my work, and close my laptop at 5 p.m. So my goal, my hope in working with entrepreneurs and executives today is to take that world of sales expertise and skills and bring it through the lens of coaching so that you're getting a blend of mindset and tactics. They're going to help you to see your results faster and also feel aligned and authentic in realizing them. So let's set the stage so that you can get the most out of our time together. So I always encourage you to turn off any distractions, devices, hoping that you're in a space where you can really just focus on the next little bit. Because again, revenue driving sales is what has the power to transform your business and ultimately also your life. So have your pen and paper ready. You might have heard some things I share, some things might be new to you, and this is really your opportunity to just take what, lands with you, what resonates, and to integrate that after today. So I do encourage you to physically put pen to paper, take notes. I really believe that what we put on the page is what we remember and what we'll, be able to recall later. So take those notes and know that everything I share, like everything may not be for you, and that's okay too. Like listen as if you've heard this for the first time. And I like to say it's what's caught, not what's taught. So whatever you catch, whatever, again, feels really good to you, write it down and make sure that you step away today and integrate that into your business and into really your, personal and professional development going forward. And if you do want, as I go through this, access to these slides, so whether you're watching this live or you're here live or you're watching the recording, you can always follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn at Kirsten Schmidtke, and I will be sure to make sure these slides get to you. Just send me a quick DM, and I will make sure, just you can say My Wolf Design Workshop, and I'll make sure that you get access to the slide deck.
We can also include it in the replay as well, if you want.
Sure. Okay. So today we're going to follow three kind of areas of focus, if you will. So we're going to start with money. Okay. So we're going to start with the big M, money. How are we setting sales goals to create more money? Then we're going to talk about our mindset because at the end of the day, if we don't have the connection to who we're being and as a result, the thinking that aligns to our goals, none of the actions matter. None of the tactics matter. I could sit here and give you a list of 10 things to do that would help to drive revenue. But if we are thinking and our behaviors are not like congruent with like our belief system, none of it matters. It all falls apart. So we're going to talk about mindset, and I am going to offer three mindset shifts that I found to be extremely helpful and powerful in helping people to, really accelerate in their sales efforts and activity. And lastly, we're going to talk about motivation. So action begets action, right? Once we take one action, the next action becomes easier and easier and easier. And that's ultimately where motivation lives, is in taking action. So I want you to leave today having the next best step, right? It doesn't have to be 20 and it doesn't have to be, we're not going to like climb a mountain in a day. We're going to take one step, one day at a time. And so the idea is that you leave with one really clear action, one growth lever that you can pull to help accelerate revenue growth in your business. And then, of course, I will leave time for Q&A. And so as we're going through the material, feel free to just, if you have a question, jot it down. Happy, at the end of the presentation to answer any of those questions live here on the workshop. So let's get into it. So, money, setting sales goals. So, just out of curiosity, I want you to think, do you have a sales goal? For 2025, did you set a sales goal? Okay, so yes, maybe, maybe some no's. And it might just be worth taking a moment reflecting, like, why or why not, with no judgment. It could be simply that you never thought of it before. Maybe you didn't know where to start. Maybe you were unsure that if you set one and you didn't get there, how you would feel about it, right? Maybe even some self-judgment is maybe perhaps a reason you may not have a sales goal. So just think about if why you may not have a sales goal, and if you do, just kind of reflecting on like where you are right now in attaining that goal, and just maybe connecting to the energy that you felt when you created that goal a year ago. Because what I want to start off by sharing is, you know, why setting goals, period, is important. Okay, I think I had a bit of a delay there, but hopefully the video and the audio just caught up. Because I want to talk about why goals matter. So it's so important that we really get clear on our goals so that we know where to focus our energy, right? And energy comes in a variety of forms: our time, our attention, our resources, including our own finances. And so when we can get really clear on a goal, we know where to focus that energy. I was reading a book once, and it actually referenced Aristotle, who would say that we're telemetric beings, and like telos, it's like it's the like we need to have energy, or sorry, energy focus with where to put our life force. That's ultimately what that means. So where are you putting that life force energy? Well, into the goal. So having a really clear goal is so important. The second thing I want to offer, because I think it really helps when we look at sales goals, is goals are for growth, right? A goal is something we haven't experienced before. A goal is something that is new to us, that gets us excited and allows us to develop both personally and professionally. So, goals allow us to expand. They allow us to grow. They allow us to become the next version of ourselves, to reach even higher levels of awareness and of success. And so I want to offer that as a way of looking at goals so that we're not playing small. We're not kind of hiding from, declaring a sales goal, but we're really connecting to the purpose of a goal. It gives us focus and it allows us to grow. It allows us to expand. Now, when it comes to sales goals, we have to be kind of careful here in how we look at them because sometimes what happens is we can get caught up in sales goals being more of a vanity metric than a value metric. So let me actually tell you a story about a client I worked with to just kind of give you some context here, what I mean by this. So I was working with a client who owns a social media agency, and she really wanted to grow her revenue. She wanted to drive sales. So she thought a strategy session and coaching with me would help to get her there. But as we were getting more, after we set the goal, and the goal, sorry, I should share, the goal was to have seven figures, so like break in, like get over that threshold into the seven-figure mark. But every time we got into like the planning and the next steps and like the tools that she could use to get there, she was resisting a lot on the execution of it. And so I eventually went back to the goal and asked her, like, is seven figures really what you want? Yes, yes, that's what I want. That's what I want. And then I asked a crucial question that I should have asked earlier in our time together, but why? Why does seven figures matter? And she will forever tell this story. She still tells this. It's been a couple of years, and she'll still tell. This was a moment for her where she went, it has nothing to do with seven figures. It has everything to do with increasing my income so I can go back and do the work that I love to do. I can be in my zone of genius. I can take on other projects that right now I don't have the team to support me in areas of the business, so I have to take those on. I can go back and do other things specifically around writing for her that she really, really, really loved. And so all of a sudden, everything switched because now we were focused on how do we create revenue that was actually going to impact her income, not just chase some seven-figure goal that someone somewhere, probably on the internet, said that's what success looks like. I'll just let that, I wonder if that lands for anyone who's listening who may think that their sales goal is something that they heard that they should have, not something they really want and desire. And one of the most difficult things to do is to go after someone else's goal. Believe me, I've tried it. It doesn't work. Both in my career path in technology sales and as an entrepreneur, when I got really clear on what it was I wanted and what I desired, then I could find that value metric, that goal. It really connected to what I wanted. And the path showed its way so much more simply, and it was so much more easy to execute. So that all being said, I'd love to give you some guidance. I know we're not gonna be able to like totally get into the numbers of, everybody's business, but I want to give you some guidelines so you can take this away and start to put together a really clear number for yourself in 2026. I would encourage you to get really clear on a number for 2026. And again, hold no judgment. Whether you get there or not, again, we're here for the growth. We're here for the opportunity because I'll share with you, if you create a stretch goal, you'll likely exceed what you would have otherwise, realized if you set your goal in like that kind of safety zone. So let's think kind of big and let's create a number that you can really get your energy behind, but is also rooted in data. So I'd love you to look for just two, like if you looked at your business, we're going to make this really simple. So this might be some homework that you want to take away, but really getting clear on what your gross profit is and your gross margin are so that you can then work backwards to a revenue goal that makes sense with your business, makes sense with your growth trajectory, and is aligned to your industry. So for many of you, this might be familiar, but it always kind of is worth revisiting what both of these things mean. And while I love to drive sales, I love to drive top level revenue. At the end of the day, profit is what matters. This is where I'm talking about that like vanity versus value metric. Revenue is important, but we really want to make sure like the profit is there, right? Because if the profit is growing with the revenue, that's allowing us again to increase our own income, to, invest back in our businesses, maybe to hire, maybe to, start a new line of business, take on a new project, whatever it might be. So we really want to understand what our revenue is, what our cost of goods sold are, so we know what that profit is, what cash is left, right, for us to continue to operate our business. And then with that, we can then calculate our gross margin, or our gross margin. So we can look at the gross profit that we've calculated. We're going to divide that by revenue and then multiply that by 100. So gross margin definitely is going to be relative to your industry, right? We see in services-based industries, they tend to have a larger gross margin than in product-based businesses. Again, no worries about what this number is right now, but what I'd love you to do is to get this data together. You can use whatever platform you prefer, but you can totally run it through AI and ChatGPT, and just get an idea. One, what is the average gross margin for your industry, size of business, stage of business, and then start to work that backwards to see where you need to really increase your profit, and then what would that revenue number be? Okay, so that is kind of the tactical like work of a working backward strategy to find a number. And then I really would encourage you to get still and see how that number feels. Is that revenue attainable? Do we need to maybe even stretch and expand it further? Is there an opportunity for like what's like a number you can get behind? So this is what I mean when I say that I really blend these two worlds of like really creating the belief, the energy, and the mindset behind the kind of hard facts, so to speak. Because I think when those are in harmony, that's where we find the goal that we can get the energy behind and is going to deliver to the bottom line so that we can grow our businesses. Okay. So we have a sales goal, we have a number. Even right now, I know I kind of went through that math really quickly, and you may not have had that data with you. So even right now, just like taking a deep breath, whatever number comes to you, let's just roll with being in that energy as we go into this next stage of really setting the foundation, the mindset of the person with the goal. Right? I love this has been transformative for me, for my clients, of really connecting my beliefs to the future version of me. Right? If I think of my goal, my revenue goal for 2026, that version of Kirsten, like she's thinking differently. She's being a different person. She's, as a result, taking different types of action. And so we want to start with who we're being so then we can get clear on what we're doing because that's going to be the fastest path to getting what we have at the end, which is the goal. Okay, so we want to really think about how do we align our mindset to who we are. If we were all together this date next year, 2026, I want you to start to think about who you are, who you're being, who you're becoming in the next year that realizes that goal. So to support you on like your mindset around sales, I want to share three mindset shifts that I have found to be powerful from kind of every stage of seller, whether it's someone new to sales, you maybe you've become a business owner and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this thing. My contribution matters. I'm having impact." Oh, I forgot that entrepreneurship is synonymous with sales person. So it might be, inviting you to look at sales a little bit differently. I would say I'm also exploring these mindset shifts with even the tenured sellers out there who've been in the game for 10, 15, 20 plus years and are constantly iterating and expanding on these mindset shifts so they can see their results continue to grow.
There's just a
So
couple
the first
things.
thing I want to start with, wrong direction. Here we go. So first, I would say myth is sales is transactional, right? So we can get really caught in this thinking that sales is something like we have to like get something from someone, right? If we like we have to like take to get, right? And so what happens is people don't feel good about that. Right. I think it goes without saying that for many that are new to sales, they might use words like icky or like uncomfortable or like, like used car salesman type of energy. I mean, I almost didn't take my first sales job because I felt that way about sales. So we can get in this mindset that sales is all about like taking, right? Or getting from someone. And of course that feels greedy. That doesn't feel good, right? So we're going to cross that out. Instead, I'd like you to reframe and think about like the mindset shift is thinking about sales as being of service. How are you actually giving to someone in exchange for a different form of energy, which is cash? Okay, how can you serve the client? What in your business, how are you of service when you work with a client, when you're in a sales conversation with a client? I always like to say when we are before we actually sign a deal, get a paid invoice, get an order, all of that ahead of your entire sales process leading up to the sale is a preview of what it looks like to work with you. So, are you being of service along all of those steps of the process? Because then when it comes time to ask for the business, to ask for the sale, you're in the energy and mindset of serving another person, not taking or getting from someone else. I find when we also adopt this mindset, we create more opportunity. We actually expand our deal size often because we're thinking about how we can really serve and improve the customer's experience, maybe help them sleep at night, take away some pain or some stress through whatever it is that we're offering or selling. So instead of thinking of this like transaction and like getting from someone, start to think about how because I know you're already doing this. How are you giving? How are you being of service? And you'll start to feel that conversation flows much, much more effortlessly.
Trisha,
The second thing is sales is about you, right? We all get really, really excited about what we have to sell, our product, our service. We've been, told that like we have value, like we know we're really good at what we do. So I got to tell you all about what makes me the person that you should work with. But the truth is, like, that's not really what the client or customer cares about, right? Who's their number one worry or what's the number one thing they're probably thinking about? It's going to be themselves, right? Their pain, their problem, what they're experiencing on a day-to-day basis that they really need help with. And so what can happen sometimes is we can get so caught up and excited about what we have to offer. And again, I see this both with entrepreneurs as well as account managers and corporations. We want to lead with the product. We want to lead with the offer. We want to give them the like laundry list. And it's overwhelming and it actually doesn't land because we don't even know yet if what we have to offer is what the other person might need or might solve their problem. So I always like to remind you that sales is about them. As soon as you enter a sales conversation being about the person in front of you, your language changes, you ask better questions. As a result, you get better answers. You get more information from the customer or prospective client. You're able to gauge more like the emotional connection to whatever problem that they're facing that you might be able to solve. And you might discover something that you had never otherwise thought of and would actually require a completely different solution than you otherwise would have, pitched, so to speak. Which leads me to the next mindset shift, right? The myth is sales is pitching. I've got to pitch it to them. I got to get it like throw it at them, get it like in their face. Like it's got to be perfect. I got to have it aligned. It's got to be ready to go. And sales is leadership. Sales is if you did a good job, in the discovery call, like I said, if you really got in the seat of the customer and made it about them, you've got some really great data, some really rich information that you can now connect the dots and lead them to your solution, lead them to how the problem is going to be solved, lead them through telling stories, sharing case studies. And if you can lead a client to a solution rather than like pitching it at them, it will be received in a very different way, and you will find that your alignment with this client will move to a yes faster. I like to say that sales is really nothing more than like two people or two entities coming to an agreement, right? The agreement may be to work together or not work together, but ideally we want to get to an agreement on what it is, what that next step is going to look like. And part of your role selling is leading them to a solution that makes sense for them. So now that we've really looked at our mindset and shifted, right, where we can focus our energy and attention, well, what are we going to do? Right? What is going to be the action? So the motivation needs to come in because while this is all well and good in theory, we always want to be taking action. I find that this can be a part of the work that can be a bit challenging, where we get kind of stuck in the thinking and in the kind of belief system that's had us maybe trapped or worried about sales in the past. And so I'm hoping that sharing those mindset shifts have now cleared some space for you to take inspired action, for you to step forward and be consistent in the action that you're taking. I will also preface this as we kind of go into the next slide that this requires you to also be a bit of an experiment or a scientist almost. And I'm sure you've experimented in different aspects of your business, and sales is no different. We want to try new things, take consistent action over time, and then pivot when it makes sense to, if we find that one action isn't working. But if you leave with anything today, my hope is that you do step into action and sales activity. So what is the next best step for you? First of all, what you focus on grows. So if you aren't spending any time with intentional sales activity today, that could be a big reason why you're not seeing any revenue growth or any, like your sales grow. So the first thing I would do is really think about where in your day you're at your best when it comes to sales and start blocking the calendar. Get creative with maybe you call it like your money block, like your money like time block, or like money creation or wealth creation or revenue restart. I don't know. You guys can get really creative, but start to hold space in the calendar for those revenue generating activities, for sales activities, because I hear a lot that people say they've run out of time. Right. And so let's start by blocking the time and really prioritizing what matters. Okay. Even in my own business, I actually start my day with sales activity before I do anything else. Right. Revenue right now is the priority. And so that's where I'm going to spend my attention at the beginning of every day. And then I want you to think like, okay, what am I, what you're probably asking, like, great, I blocked the calendar, but like, what am I going to do with this time, right? What would you recommend I do, or what would, activity look like? And so I just want you to think about, okay, if I go back to that goal, I think about the revenue, I think about, you know, likely there's one area of your business, either like service or product, that is the most profitable for you. So if you were to focus more energy there, and you were to realize that goal that you set for 2026, what would that person be doing? How would that person be taking action? How would that person be generating activity daily to move their sales numbers forward? We can talk a little bit more about what that might look like. But in that, we're going to then just really understand like what is the next best step. So if we know what our goal is, we've put time in the calendar, we're going to get the activity going. Okay, what is the next best step that gets us on the path to that revenue and sales growth? And this is where action and accountability come in. And so, what I encourage you to do is to get clear on the action and then to think about how you're going to help yourself to stay accountable. Is that creating? I mean, I love spreadsheets and I love scorecards. So, creating a scorecard where you're checking in at the end of every day or at the end of every week to see that you completed your sales activities. Is it having an accountability buddy? Is it working with a coach? Is it, even making a checklist on your phone to say that you did, the three things you committed to this week to move your sales numbers forward? So it's important that we take action, but it's also just as critical that we keep ourselves accountable because consistency over time is what's going to generate results, right? Consistent action over time is where we're going to really start to see the revenue needle move. So that being said, I don't know if there's any I'm open to, offering any ideas around what this activity could look like. Um, I if anyone wants to come off mute, like Meredith, or I see Carly's here listening, like if there's anything that's coming up for you, going, okay, I don't really know what the next best step is. I always have ideas, but I want to make sure that they're relevant to you. So I'm just going to kind of pause there and see if there's any questions.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay. There's some questions in the chat. I think Meredith was trying to get your attention on that.
Okay, I can't see the chat, so
Oh,
there we go.
you got it?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
awesome. Okay, let's go. I'll go back to the top. Okay, well, let's do this before, awesome. Okay, so before we do that, what I'll do then, because we can just do like, let's just move to, I think we'll just move to Q&A then, because that was really kind of where I was hoping to go next, and we can just dive right into answering these questions. And then if you want to go back, we can go back to the last slide and talk a little bit more about action activity, but I think this will just kind of probably happen organically. And I'll just offer this. If you are feeling really like still kind of stuck and unclear after listening and watching this, that QR code is going to take you to my Sales Leader Power Hour. So that's a no commitment free call where we get really clear on the goal, we get clear on your bottleneck, and we get clear on like what do we need to move out of the way and the action we need to take to get your sales revenue like starting to really, really go. So if you're feeling after watching this, you're like, oh, I'm still not quite complete on, what I need to do next, just go ahead and book that call and we'll dive into your specific scenario. But let me get into these questions from there. Okay, perfect. So all right. Okay, okay, I see just starting my business, so no goals yet. Um, Love it, but I'm also going to challenge you, Nina, to have a goal, to create a goal, even if that is one paid customer, right? Because we don't have a business until we have revenue. So it could be as simple as just like having one paying customer or one buying customer. Because as soon as you have a stranger buy your thing, like you are in business. So maybe it's not a revenue goal, maybe it's just a different version that gets you building some momentum in creating your business and getting started. Great. Nina has a goal. Okay, awesome. So you do have a goal. 5 customers next year. Amazing. I'm gonna get to the next question, but Nina, I want to know why not one customer before the end of the year? What
Oh,
would you
because
need
I'm
to
just
have one
starting.
customer before the end of the year? Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm literally just starting my business. Like I'm putting together a business plan right now and really just ramping up into what that is. And so I am an interior designer and
Okay.
I've been in interior design for 15 years, but
Yep.
I'm venturing off and doing this on my own.
Yeah.
And so my focus is designing children's spaces and places. Yeah, so think like nurseries, toddler rooms, family rooms, playrooms, and stuff like that. And so I'm literally just starting. Like I just put together my business plan. I'm putting together like my brand concept narrative at the moment. So yeah, it's my goal is like right now, 5 customers. So
Yeah. So what's a version of what you're going to offer in 2026 that you could offer now? Like, is there like a
I
version? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, I've got
yeah,
like a 6-figure offer, let's say, right? It's like I'm making this up. This is just for context so everyone can maybe
right.
benefit from the conversation. But if you look at like You've got, yeah, maybe you have a bigger offer in 2026. What would be a version you could offer now?
I could probably actually this is one of the things I was thinking about would most likely be designing themed rooms
Hmm.
with like links that are provided. And so I would, let's say, design a room specifically, let's say a woodland themed room or like a farm themed room with like images of, furniture pieces, decor, etc., and links where you can purchase that. And so that I think has always been like it's basically like a shop in a box, like shop in a room or shop like what is it like look shop in a look or something. I'm trying to think of that. There's specific phrase, like a room in a box, sorry. So that's sort of like a strategy of how you can purchase this like room design that is not necessarily custom, but can fit into a family if a mother has no time but really likes the woodland theme, and these are all these different links and designs that go with that. So
Yeah.
that is like a revenue idea that I have that I know I
Okay.
can make. So
So
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are seeing there's notes coming in, Nina, about
oh
your
yeah,
services. Um, I
yeah,
freaking love these things. Like, there's some really cool things happening in the chat. Nina, you need to
yeah,
meet
thank
Jenna
you.
because she says, I need to learn more. You might have a customer in me right now.
Yeah, I actually
So,
I have social media. Like I've been thinking about this for a long time, so I'll just share what I have. But I literally like I don't have anything yet aside from like three posts.
yeah.
Like I literally just launched it.
Yeah.
Well,
So
not
kind of
even
to,
launch. I just put it on social media this week.
yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think like to what I think what Meredith was like getting at, which is also like uh your customers are already there.
Yes.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just need to take action.
yeah.
You d- we all want our ducks in a row before we like
Right.
go out into the world. But the truth is like the ducks won, never in a row,
Mhm,
ever. Also,
mhm.
you're gonna work with people with children, so they know that. Like there's no
That's
way that you can
true.
have everything like managed and controlled under, right?
I have a
So
daughter as well, so I
so
can
like
understand.
yeah. So and that's why I asked like what's a version that you could sell right now? Like is it just a 1 hour consult? Maybe
Right.
you make $500 before the end of the
Oh
year.
yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Is it a I don't know. I'm trying to think of like another or it's just like even well, I guess consult would be the same thing, but I was even thinking like a you're not going to audit someone's room, but like go in and
Yeah,
like say, "Hey, I would recommend these
like a
things." Like
designer
you
in a day kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like money loves speed. Money loves momentum.
Mhm.
Money loves action.
I gotta write
So
that.
if we sit back and wait for the perfect opportunity, for the perfect offer, for our like business plan, our branding, our marketing, whatever, we might be having the
Mhm.
same conversation in a year.
Right.
So if you can start to create, because it's going to be new for you too to receive money, not as your own agency or as your own,
Right.
like, right? So the sooner that you can get into the energy of receiving money, the faster those 5 clients are going to come.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
is really, I'm writing it down.
Okay.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
you're so welcome. I'm going to keep going, but
Yeah,
Nina, if there's
absolutely.
anything
Thank you so much.
else, we have time. So I can come back if your brain's like, okay, that makes sense, but wait, I have another question.
Yeah,
So you,
I'm here to listen. I'm really here to learn and absorb, and so yeah, I'll keep asking as the conversation continues, but thank you so much.
yeah,
That was
you're so welcome.
insightful.
So yeah, I would really encourage you, like, what could you do now to create revenue?
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be crazy big numbers. We just want to get you in the energy of receiving money for your services. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Awesome. Is
you.
that helpful?
Yeah, absolutely helpful. And thank you so much for all the ladies that are already
Yeah.
responding.
See the
Like
power of,
I'm
yeah.
getting shivers.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. All
Awesome. Thank you so
right.
much.
I love it. Thanks, Nina. Yes. Okay. Okay, Jenna, my goal is always more than last year. Is that specific enough? No, because I don't know what that means. That's just okay. That's just like saying I want to live somewhere else in the world. That could
Hello.
mean I just want to live one neighborhood over. Or does that mean I want to move to Europe? Or does that mean I want to go to Australia? Do you see what I mean? So, I would. challenge you to think about, what's the number? Is it 20% more? Okay, how much did you make this year? 100K. So next year's 120K. Yeah, no, I would really, goals need specificity because if we don't have specificity, we have no clarity, we have no focus, and then we get back into this like running around in 20 different directions. So I would, the more specific you can be, the more specific your thinking will be, and then your actions will be. So I would really encourage you to get more specific. Did she add to my
Hello.
there? Okay. Oh, hi.
Yes. I, I hear you. And so my next comment was, because I do have that question, because I would literally be happy if I blew up quite quickly. So I'd be happy if I made $1 more every year from now to the rest of my life. And this year I've made a lot more than $1 more than I did last year. But when I have a specific number, which obviously maybe I just need to work on my psychology, when I hit the number, I'm kind of like, okay, I hit it. Well, it's like, what if
Yep.
I have 2 months left and I could still be pushing hard and go way more than that number? Or if the number is so big that it feels like, oh, I don't think I'm ever going to get there. It feels discouraging. So just growth to me feels motivating because it's like, I want to do more than last year. And then once I hit more than last year, I'm like, okay, let's see how much more I can get than last year. So it kind of keeps me in that like go for it mode until the very end of the year. Whereas a number I feel would either stop me because I'm like, oh, I hit it, or feel discouraging because it's so far away. But maybe that's just, I need to get better at that.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the challenge of setting? Because, okay, so what I'm hearing, so this is interesting because, again, this is like where the head, like the mindset, the head,
Yes,
the mindset is
exactly.
it, right? Because you're capping yourself, right? You're going, oh, well, it'd be nice if I just made like $2 more. So what are you doing? You're making $2 more,
Hmm.
right? Versus like, okay, what if I
Yeah.
doubled? What if I 10x'd?
Hmm.
That's going to require very different energy and a very different approach. And
Yes.
then what I'm hearing is you're like, okay, but if I say 10x, then I have a fear of failing. Is that what's happening?
I suppose in the core that's what it is, but it's just kind of like, oh, I don't know. I feel like it's just like being present in the doing as best as I can possibly do the whole year feels, I don't know, feels like more because I've made more than $1 more than I did last year.
Right. Yeah.
So it worked well. And if I could keep with this percentage growth every year, I would have
Okay.
never dreamed of this.
Okay.
So it's, I don't
Tell me
know.
if this is the problem. Okay. I'm sensing that to make more, you feel that you're going to have to like double your effort, and that's going to be
No,
exhausting.
I've worked less
No?
this year and made
Okay.
30% more. So I know,
Amazing.
so I
Okay.
know that's not the case. It's just, I guess it's just a matter of motivation, but I maybe need to change my mindset around it, like you're saying.
Yeah. So, okay. So, what is the mindset what is the belief you have right now about having a bigger number goal?
I I do feel it's arbitrary. So, so it's like it's picking a number out of thin air, which I get. It's like just set your sight for freaking moon and go as hard as you can. But why not just not have that and just go as hard as you can without the number? I'm just wondering for maybe for
Yeah.
different people,
Yeah.
is it okay? It's like, wow, I'm super motivated and I'm working really hard and I'm doing really well. So maybe a number is going to trip me up, or is that just a limiting belief? I don't know.
Sorry, say that again. You're working really hard. Say that again.
So just with my idea of, okay, I want to grow. That's
Yeah.
my goal.
Yeah.
If it's working, do we need a specific number, or do you think having a specific number is going to help you even more, or is there a chance it could trip you up just like
Yeah.
with my concerns? But like you're saying, it's a mindset thing, but
Well, okay, because I heard two things. That's thank you for like repeating because before that you said like arbitrary number, right? And
mhm,
so if it would be helpful to like ground yourself in something that
mhm,
doesn't feel arbitrary, I would go back and look at your data for the last 5 years. Like what's been
mhm,
your average growth rate?
mhm,
Right? And if you want, let's say your average growth rate was 20%, you're like, okay, I want to stretch myself. Okay, 30%. What would be 30? Okay, now I have a number
mhm,
that's rooted
mhm,
in data. Do
mhm.
you see what I'm saying? So now
Yeah.
taking that kind of arbitrary part out of it.
Mhm,
So I'd say there's that to just kind of ground you in a number where you're like, okay, it's like, and I would challenge you like expand a little bit, right? If the average rate was again 20%, I would increase it because then at least you're giving yourself an opportunity to grow. The other part is I'm almost sense or wondering too if it would be helpful if you like what do you want in 5 years? What do you want in 10 years?
mhm,
And can you make that happen faster?
mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I would Because if you were to like walk into a sales organization of a corporation and tell them that their sales goals were arbitrary, they would like probably kick you out of the meeting. Right? Because they're like, we have to answer to stakeholders, we have to answer to
Mhm.
leadership, like we have to hit these revenue targets. Like there's a bunch of things at stake, right? And
Mhm.
it could be that there's just like nothing at stake, whether you
Yeah.
grow or not. And so if you've got like a big, I don't know enough about your business, so
Mhm.
there's some, so take and leave what works for you here.
Yeah.
But if you were like, okay, well, if I wanted in 10 years for my business to be 10x, well, what would it look
Mhm.
if I actually did that in like the next 2 years?
Mhm.
Because chances are I mean, you already said you're working less, so you're working probably differently with that 10x version of your business. You're maybe hiring differently. You're probably building different systems. You're probably focused on different clients or customers or processes or delivery, whatever it might be, delivery methods, right? So that could be like you could definitely ground yourself in the data so it doesn't feel arbitrary. And
Mhm.
though, start acting like the CEO 10 years from now, where like the numbers matter.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
It feels good. And I know I have something limiting in here, which is why I'm tripping up. But I think because my experience has been a bit weird, this is my third year of business, and I did 10x in the first year from what
Yeah.
year one to year two. And then I've probably grown 30% year three. So it does feel very like up and down. And I'm like, I would have never dreamed year two I achieved what I did. So had I planned that, very
Okay, so
tough.
that's the limiting belief then. You're like, are you afraid if you plan too small, you'll go small? Like, is there like I'm
Yeah,
kind of
I
wondering
think maybe
because you
something
keep
like that.
yeah, because you keep describing yourself as weird. And I'm like, well, your business is being weird. And I was like, or maybe your business is just awesome. Like, and maybe you're really great. Do you know what I mean? Like, if
Yeah.
you, like, that might be the limiting belief right there that, like, this is weird. This isn't normal. This is not repeatable. I can't do this over a
Hmm.
long period of time. Like, I'm wondering if the language around that and shifting that language
Hmm.
could expand your mind to go, like, that might be what's stopping you, is thinking that you're the exception to the rule and it's never gonna, I mean, it's also awesome. So celebrate it. Like, great. And but rather than it being like weird and not repeatable, what if it was like your normal? Like what if
Hmm.
you 10x'd every year?
Okay. I
Okay. Is that
appreciate that.
helpful?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Um
I can read the
yeah,
next
because
one here. Oh, sorry.
yeah. No, 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 it's okay. I was just gonna say I wanted to just because I know I think that answered both of Jenna's questions. I was just gonna offer though for everybody on the call, like I think she brought up something really important that like the reason we also want growth, or sorry, goals to include growth is because that can happen where we take our foot off the gas, right? Because we get to the goal or we get close to the goal and we're like, well, it's Q4, I'm done. I'll just like, right. And then we start the next year and go, oh, that's weird. Why am I not seeing the growth and the results that I saw? Well, like you've already hit that limit that you impose, so to speak. And so that's why I do encourage you to kind of expand those goals to be a stretch. And again, not like just have data. Like let the data run the business, not how you feel about the data, not how you feel about the goal, whether you hit 100K, maybe you hit 75. Doesn't matter. If you set the bar at 50, I bet you wouldn't have hit 75. And that's where I agree with Jenna. Like, yeah, subconsciously, you do sometimes take your foot off and we want you to definitely like far exceed what you go out there to achieve. So yeah, it's definitely, creating space for that to happen and not allow yourself to play small or think small because then you'll play small. Okay, what was the next question? Or
Uh,
did
what
I? Yeah.
what is the best time of day and day of the week to approach B2B for sales calls?
Um, Meet your customer where they are. So when do you think I don't know if Carly, you can come off mute. Um, but where were you in this type of business before you started your own business?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm a registered nurse and I do nursing consultations. So I'd be meeting with, estate planning lawyers, business lawyers, retirement home execs, C-suite type people. So I just thought like probably Mondays and Fridays are not, maybe the most ideal,
Yeah.
week morning before lunch. I was wondering if that was the best time to
Yeah.
time because I
Sorry, go ahead.
no, just to hire a babysitter so that I don't have this on my sales calls. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, are they typically, because you like lawyer, like are they self-employed, are they small business owners or are they like lawyers that work for like McKinsey or like P&G, like some like consulting firms or something? Like what
I would say it's like a 70-30 split, 70 independent, 30 in larger firms.
Okay. Okay. And the reason I ask is like you're all business owners here, right? So when are you online? All the time. No, right, but, like really, we're like, right? We live in a world where like work life is integrated. So this is a really hard question to answer because everyone's working all the time. And I know at one time in tech, like it was it was this again, this is like 10 years ago or more now. Um, you like to hit the phone sometimes even before 8 o'clock because executives were in the office early, and they had no meetings yet, or they had no work on their plate, right? And so, and I would actually argue like Monday, Friday is probably your best bet. Because like if let's fast forward to the world now, if people are going into the office, it tends to be midweek. And if they're in the office, they're distracted. Or
Right.
they're in meetings, or there's people in their or the people knocking on the door, right? Like we all know what it's like to be around people versus not around people. Even if you haven't worked in a corporate environment, you
Yeah.
know when there's other people around, they distract you, right? Or they want to have a conversation with you. So I would actually think Monday and Friday would be great. To be totally honest with you, you could even create a cadence where like you do initial reach out on Monday, and then you do follow-ups on Fridays.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
my like rule of thumb is normally like 2 to 3 business days with follow-ups, like whether it's DMs or calls. But if you're trying to also, yeah, manage like a babysitting schedule, I would think like, yeah, like Monday, Friday could just be kind of your cadence of like initial reach out on a Monday, follow up on Friday, connect again on a Monday. And if it's a no-go, then you just like move on to the next person.
Right.
So I would say that in terms of, yeah. And then in terms of like time of day, again, I think that one's, because people are not in an office. But I would look at that 70-30 split, right? Like if that 70% is like a solopreneur, whatever, like they're probably working when you're working.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, and then if it's someone in an office, um, yeah, if it's, I would be wanting to call them probably before the day starts, or maybe, yeah, maybe over lunch. That's a tough one because people do take meetings over lunch.
Right.
Does
I
that give you kind of a place to start? Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
helpful. I booked a session with you to
Oh,
move
great.
forward.
Okay, we can talk more then. Yeah, perfect. Okay. I love that. Okay. I'm gonna
I'll,
try setting. Oh, yeah.
yeah, I'll make it easy for you. Don't worry. I'm
Okay.
having trouble setting a goal while in growth mode. Excuse me. There's no profit while I'm growing team and inventory. Any tips? It's from Meredith.
Yeah. Um, Meredith, do you mind coming off mute and sharing more? Because
Yeah,
you don't have profit, but you're spending money on inventory and people.
yeah, and
Yeah.
systems. So we've been in business for a while, about 8 years, where I'm more seriously in the last couple of years. So I'm not totally sure. So what your like profit minus growth minus or revenue minus COGS, like I can do all that, that's fine. But in
Yeah.
terms of trying to set, should it be completely separate? Because right now everything that we're always in a minus situation when we're in growth mode. So
Mm.
because our like in order to stage 10 more houses, I have to buy 10 more
Yeah.
houses worth of inventory and then I have to decide when is enough. And for me, never, 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 it's never enough.
Never enough revenue or never enough stuff. Like,
Never enough stuff, never enough like growing and learning in systems. And whenever like we are at a plateau, I'm like, what can we do differently?
yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Really interesting because your business would be, it's interesting because you're offering a service, right? Because you're staging homes, but then you also have to have inventory as a product, right? Like different from me. Like I don't have like if I had a product, it would be like a book or it'd be like you know what I mean? Like an e-guide or something. So it's different, right? Because you've got like physical inventory that you need okay. This is a really great question too, right? Because at a stage of business, if you are in growth mode, you might be cutting into your profit. Like you said, you're going into the red with the hope, intention, plan to be seeing growth in your revenue. Um, so what I'm okay. Let me know if this is helpful. If I'm off the question, just interrupt me and give me more context. But what I'm sensing is, have you looked at the data where like in like by investing or like putting money into team and inventory, like what that revenue Like what is that ROI? Like what's the return on that investment? Do you see if I put like I'm making the numbers up. If I put 100K into inventory and people, do you see 10% revenue increase? Do you see like do you know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. That's really hard for me to figure out. I can use past numbers, but we haven't done like a hard marketing, or we haven't done like a hard sales sort of pitch or tried to sell our service. So without selling the service, we're growing, I think, like 3 times every year.
So wait, let me pause you there. If you're making money, then you are selling. So what do you mean not marketing, not selling? Like it's just referral base? Like you're not doing any out, like everything's warm?
Right.
Or what?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you are selling because you are generating revenue.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. We
Um,
do. We just everything goes out as soon as it comes in, we're back out. So what comes in right now, and it can't, because if we're staging a house for, say, at the high end $5,000, it costs me 10,000 in inventory, and the hope is that that will cycle back when it comes back in.
yeah.
But houses are sitting longer, and we keep staging
Yeah.
more and more. So last month we did 20. This month we're doing 25, and it keeps just, it's kind of a vicious cycle right now.
Yeah.
But actually, what I'm thinking about is maybe pricing, because will also help fix that. So we also close 99% of what we quote, which means our pricing is probably too low.
100 bajillion%. So let's start there. Like I think a healthy close rate is 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
need to for sure increase your rates. One like yes. So yes, let's do that. There's so many rules of thought, by the way, on like what a close, but definitely in the tech world, like you're like 30, 40, like you're, like golden happy. So like service providers, I generally say 50%. If you're closing half of your deals, it's time to raise your rate. If you're at a bottleneck and you can't deliver and you're at capacity, yes, you better like please raise your rate faster. The other thing
Okay.
I would do if like so okay, so raise rate. Um, it might be worth just not getting too down a rabbit hole, but I feel like there might be a revenue operations or like a rev ops because it's like the operations and the revenue, right? Where it's like, okay, I drive revenue, but I need the operations, like the people and the stuff to like deliver on the thing. So I think your challenge
Yeah.
might be a little bit more around revenue and operate. So, well, yeah, we would like they'd call it a corporation like rev ops. Like, what does that look like? And then the last part I would offer is like I would start to collect as much data as you can. It sounds like you have some, but I think it's really important going forward that like you an idea of, and this is more, I guess, revenue operations too, but like if you put money into things, then you're getting result. Like, are you see, because if you're okay, so if this is revenue and profitability and we're seeing them grow together, like that's not what you want, right? You want you want your sorry, your expense. Sorry, that's not what I meant. Your profit, your expenses.
Yeah.
We don't want them to be even, right? You want your expenses to keep, but
Yeah.
you want your profit eventually and to right to grow more than what you're investing. So that might be more of like a fractional CFO, accountant, bookkeeper, like that's not really in my wheelhouse, but understanding those numbers can really help you to get clearer on sales. But at the same time, I think you just had kind of a little mini breakthrough around being clear that you need to raise your rates, which is a good place to start. It's the fastest way to make money, by the way, to everyone watching this, raise your prices. Okay, I know we're at time here. Did I get through all the questions
You
almost?
did. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Carly, I know your question came in out like at the end, but I think you guys closed
We're
the.
gonna connect. I can ask, yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
answer Carly's question when we have a
That
call.
was
That's great.
amazing. I feel like that was 1 hour of like jam-packed information, and truly the timing of this couldn't have been better. So kudos to you for thinking a year ahead. We should have you November of 2026 as well.
Oh
And
God.
I just have to say, Nina, I feel like this was like a really cool opportunity. You mentioned you got goosebumps. I don't think anyone has ever said that on a guest speaker. And so like I feel like I'm actually gonna tear up. Like that's exactly why I do these. And so I can't thank you enough for sharing that and for like just this entire community is so amazing. And so thank you
No,
to everyone.
seriously, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I literally, like I said, you were like, what are your goals? I'm like, I'm just starting. I have no goals. But the fact that Kristen, you were just like, let's make a goal by the end of this year. Cause I'm like, I was like, I won't start until next year. Like the fact that you were just saying speed, what is it? I wrote it down. Hold on. You said
Money loves speed.
money loves speed and
Money loves
momentum.
speed.
And
Yes.
so I have it on bold and on my notes. And so I really appreciate that. And even just like, hearing from you ladies and just, like seeing the support is really wonderful. So thank you so much, Meredith, of course, for sharing this. And really, Kirsten, thank you so much.
Yeah. And you know what? I will just share back. Nina, I think just highlighted something super, super, super powerful too, around sales, or sorry, goals, not even sales goals, goals, period. When you say your goals out loud, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, like you will realize them so much faster because people will raise their hands and say they can help you, that they're
Yeah.
interested, that they want, like, so knowing your goal also gives you the opportunity to say it out loud. And yeah, look at
Right.
Nina, like you have all these people, people that are just at least interested to get the ball rolling. And so you
Right.
never know how that's going to have a ripple effect beyond. So
I had no
thank you for
idea
also
this was
that
going to
reminder
happen
of why
today.
goals are important.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, really, thank you so much.
So good. Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
you guys have the link if you want to continue the chat with me. Feel free to book a time. And yeah, Meredith, I'll let you, yeah, close
Yeah,
this up.
no, thank you. Thank you. We'll send out the replay as we do. So if anyone wasn't able to make it, obviously that will get sent out and we'll do this again in 2026. So, okay, good stuff. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.